Hey everyone, I just want to give you a quick review, my thoughts on this great little camera, this Fuji F550 EXR. It's obviously a point and shoot camera, but I love it for the size. It's nice and small, it's compact, fits easily in your pocket, and it has a lot of great features on it. I find it's very close to the entry-level DSLRs. The big difference, of course, is it doesn't have interchangeable lenses, but there's a lot that this does that really makes up for the fact that you only have one lens. It has some great features on it. And one of the features I like to talk about right now is something called the Panorama, or the Pano mode. And basically, if ever you wanted to take a panorama photograph, what you had to do is you took your camera and you pointed it in one area, you moved, took another picture, took another picture, took another one, until you had 5 or 6, maybe even more lined up. And then you would stitch them together in a program like Photoshop. Well, you don't have to do this with this camera. It has what's called the Panorama mode, and I'm going to do a little demo of it in a minute. But essentially what happens is you set up your camera for your Pano mode, you go to your starting position, you press the shutter, and then you simply pan the camera around like this until you've got your panorama. And there's 3 settings on it. You can do 120 degrees, 180 degrees, and 360 degrees. And it's all done in the camera. You don't have to do anything after the fact. It's somehow the software inside the camera figures it out and gives you a really good looking panorama photograph. And I find it works really, really well. And what I'm going to do now is just cut away from this to give you a brief demo of how it works. And we're going to go from EXR mode, which I use a fair amount, into what's called advanced. And in advanced we have 3 choices. I'll hit the menu for advanced, then I hit the right part of the scroll wheel, and you'll see we have panorama, pro focus, and pro low light. And for now we're going to talk about panorama. We're going to hit OK for panorama. And we're going to get out of this by hitting display at the bottom. Now we have several choices in panorama. So if we hit the scroll wheel, we go down, we have our choice here of angles we want. 120 degrees, 180, let's do that again, or 360, 120, 180, and 360. So what we'll do for now is we'll stick with 180. Then the next thing we can do, we have a choice of how we want to shoot the panorama. So if I hit, you can see the right arrow for direction. So if I hit the right part of the scroll wheel, now I can use the scroll wheel. As you can see, we can go from left to right, bottom to top, top to bottom, or right to left. And so this gives you, depending on how you want to shoot your scene, and you have to do this so the camera knows exactly what you're doing so it can process the image properly. So what we'll do here is we're going to say, I'm going to show you a shot I did here from left to right. And this is a horizontal shot. As you can see, it's horizontal orientation. And here's what the shot looks like when you do a panorama 180 degrees and you go from left to right. First, here's the video just showing, do a quick pan here in video to show you the backyard scene I'm using. Nice little patio deck. Table with an umbrella and some chairs under it. And here's the finished result. Everything done in camera, no stitching had to be done outside. The software did it all. What I'm going to do next is, and this is going to look weird on the video, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a panorama, but I'm able to do it from portrait mode. And again, I will film the same scene, doing the panorama, stitch on it, but done in portrait mode. And you see it gives you a different angle, a different perspective on how everything looks. And here's the final result of the panorama done from the vertical perspective rather than horizontal. There's the original shot just to show you the difference. And now I'll stack both of them together. The vertical shot on top and the horizontal orientation on the bottom. So pretty good options with this panorama feature. Another feature on this camera that is really good is what's called the Pro Focus. And what they mean by that is when you look at all the really great photographs that the high-end amateurs and the professionals do, you're going to see that the main area of the photograph is obviously in focus. It's what they call tack sharp. but usually the background is blurred, it's out of focus. And this is done intentionally so that your eye is drawn to the main part of the photograph. And the pros do it through using usually aperture priority. They have a very wide open aperture, which gives you a shallower depth of field, the amount that is in focus. And they will make sure that the main part of the subject is totally exactly in focus. And then the background blurs out. The mistake we make as amateurs is we just take a shot and there's a lot of the image that is in focus, and it just doesn't, you don't get the same effect on the photograph that you do when you have this background blurred out. So there is a setting on this camera in the advanced mode again that's called Pro Focus, and it's called it for that main reason. Now, to do it properly, you really should have a tripod, because it takes a series of 2 to 3 images, and it takes one wherever you have your main focus, where your main subject is in focus, but then it takes a couple of other photographs where it blurs the background intentionally. And that's what gives you that really good professional looking photograph. And again, I'm going to do a little demonstration here of how it works using our little friend the turtle. Next, we're still in advanced mode, but we're going to go to our menu. And what we're going to do is change from panorama. We're going to go down to the Pro Focus mode. And this one is really great in that you'll see a lot of photographers, the expert photographers, they want to have a nice soft focus background and the object of the photo in nice sharp focus. And this will do it for you. And you're going to see the little number 3 here. Get rid of that. You're going to see the number 3, and this is giving you the amount of focus in the background. 3 is going to give you the most out of focus, 2 obviously a little less, and 1 of course. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this at 3 to get a lot of blurred or maximum amount of focus in the background, and you're going to see what a beautiful shot it takes. So here's the shot of the turtle, and this is what most of us normally do. We take a shot where a lot of it, yeah, the turtle's nice and in focus, but you can still see a fair amount of the background. And again, that's the kind of the mistake we all make as amateurs. But you're going to see now, here's the same shot done with the Pro Focus. And as I say, what it's done, it's taken 2 or 3 images, it determines what's the best way to do it. And it has now blurred the background. And you can see that it's now your eye is going to be drawn much more to our little friend the turtle than it is to, in a sense, the entire image. And that's what you want. You want to bring the eye into the part that you think is most important. And Pro Focus lets you do that. You could do it through aperture priority and set the small aperture and see what comes out. But this really is a great feature on the camera that I would suggest you use more and more, because it really does work and it gives you that pro look to it. So that's just a couple of things that this camera will do for you. Again, I highly recommend it. I'm a Canon shooter, I have Canon DSLRs, but I'm using this more and more all the time. You're getting really great results. It's a 16 megapixel camera, which makes up a little bit for the smaller sensor size. But you're going to find that just the convenience of it, some of the advanced features they offer that are really getting close to pro quality look, the fact that it's so small just makes it, for me, a great camera to have. I'm starting to use this now as my travel camera. Another thing on it is there is a GPS mode. So if you are visiting somewhere, you're in a country and you've been shooting a lot of little towns and villages, and when you get back, you can't remember maybe the name of the town or which town you visited first if you haven't kept proper records of it. If you have GPS on, you now have the GPS coordinates, so it's easy to determine and figure out where you were when you took that particular shot. So that's a nice feature to have. Warning on that is that does take up some battery. It'll drain your battery quicker. So what I would suggest is when you get to a location, take your first shot with GPS on, so that it does record where you are. Turn GPS off at that point, and don't use it again until you get to your next location. But all in all, I would say this is a great little camera. Highly recommend it. It's a good price on it. And I have a full review, a full written review if you'd like to have a look. It's on the address. If you just click below, you'll see the link to my website. and there is the address that you can use, the URL, to just get a full written review of this camera, my thoughts and opinions on it. But basically, in a nutshell, I think it's a great little camera, has some great features, and I think you'd be very happy with it, especially as a travel camera. So go have a look, the Fuji F550 EXR. Happy shooting!